You are stuck thousands of kilometers from home without money or possessions. Such a life disorder will make many people despair and curse your terrible fate. But for Zeno of Kydia, it became the basis of life and scientific works. Once a wealthy merchant, he lost everything after being shipwrecked near Athens around 300 BC. Left without a lesson, he wandered into a bookstore. Where did you become interested in the teachings of Socrates? And then I decided to study with the famous philosophers of the city. By educating your own students, Zeno founded a new school of philosophy known as Stoicism. Her teachings on virtue, tolerance, and self-control inspired generations of scientists and rulers. The name Stoicism comes from the portico of Stoa Poiko, or a covered colonnade, where Zeno and his students gathered for discussions. Today we use the word Stoic in our speech to identify a person who remains calm under pressure and avoiding emotional extremes. Although this reveals important aspects of Stoicism, initially, this philosophy represented something more. The Stoics believed that everything around you is like a web of cause and effect. The result is a rational structure of the universe, which they called logos. Although we don't always control how events affect us, we can control our attitude towards them. Instead of imagining an ideal society, the Stoic tries to accept the world as it is, striving for self-improvement through the four basic virtues: worldly wisdom, stability, to soberly and calmly navigate difficult situations using logic, moderation, practice self-control and restraint in all aspects of life, justice, being honest with others even if they are wrong, and valor, not only in emergency circumstances, but also in solving everyday problems with clarity and conscience. As Seneca wrote, one of the most famous Roman Stoics, sometimes even living is an act of courage. Despite the fact that Stoicism is based on self-improvement, this is not an egocentric philosophy. At a time when, according to Roman law, slaves were considered property, Seneca called for humane treatment of the man. He emphasized that all people share the same basic humanity. Stoicism also discourages passivity. The idea is that only people who educate themselves in virtue and self-control can help others become better. One of the most famous Stoics was also one of the greatest Roman emperors. During the 19 years of Marcus Aurelius' reign, Stoicism gave him the determination to get through to major wars and to cope with the loss of their own children. Centuries later, the diaries of Marcus Aurelius will guide and support Nelson Mandela when he spends 27 years in prison for his fight against discrimination in the Republic of South Africa. After his release and final victory, Mandela declared a course for peace and conflict resolution, believing that although the injustice of the past cannot be changed, people can resist it, know, and strive to build a better future. Stoicism has remained an active school of philosophy for centuries in ancient Greece and Rome. As a formal organization, Stoicism gradually faded away, but its influence continues to this day. Christian theologians such as Thomas Aquinas, they admired the virtues and took special attention to them. Parallels are also drawn between the ataraxia of Stoicism, or the equanimity of consciousness, and the Buddhist idea of nirvana. A particularly influential Stoic was the philosopher Epictetus, who wrote that suffering is connected not with the events in our lives, but with our judgments about them. This idea has found a lively response in modern psychology and methods of self-development. So, rational emotional behavioral therapy is engaged in overcoming the established self-destructive views of people on their life circumstances. There is also Viktor Frankl's logotherapy. Frankl developed his theory during his imprisonment in a concentration camp. Logotherapy is based on the Stoic principle about using willpower to make life meaningful.